Hi everyone, my name is Evangeline and today we're going to be making a Mother's Day card using our Cricut. So for those of you that do not have a Cricut or have never heard of a Cricut is a cutting machine that you can use to cut paper, vinyl, some Cricuts or some cutting machines cut fabric. This is a Cricut Explore Air 2. This one mostly is used to cut paper and to cut vinyl. For those of you that want to follow along at home, you can, if you haven't already, pick up a craft kit at any of the branches of the White Oak Library District. It's going to come with the pre-cut pieces that you need to make a card. So you're going to have the card itself, which is pre-scored, so you can go ahead and fold that. You're going to have a smaller rectangle that's going to go inside. We'll see where that goes later. And then you should have a few of these little spirals. They're actually going to form our flowers once we get started. So, using the Cricut is fairly simple if you are, if you have a computer at home or if you're pretty savvy on using like a smartphone or a tablet. I prefer to use the computer to set up everything for my Cricut, but you can use a smartphone or a tablet once you set everything up to then run the machine. So, first I want to go over the machine, how to open it up, how to turn it on, and some of the tools that we have. So to power on our machine, there's a power button right up here. You just push the button and the machine powers up. And then we're going to go ahead and push our open button right here, and that's going to open up our machine for us. So we can see inside, and right here this is the housing that holds our blade. And there's space for another special tool if we want to include one here. So if we wanted to create an invitation or anything with writing, we could put a marker or a pen in here. If you wanted to use another tool, say a scoring tool to actually create the score lines in a card or another piece of paper that needs to be folded, you can put a scoring tool in here as well. Down here there are also spaces to store some of your tools, and I will open this one out and show you some of the tools that you can get to use with your Cricut. So some of these tools come with the Cricut, some of them you do have to buy separately. So the first thing that I want to show you is this little scraper tool. So the scraper is especially useful to adhere materials to your mat. So this is your mat. This is a 12 by 24 inch mat. The mats that come with the Cricuts are usually a 12 by 12 inch mat, but you can buy a larger mat if you plan on making larger projects. They are sticky, so they all come with a clear plastic film over them. You can remove when you're using the mat, and then you put back on when you're done. I just like to roll mine up so it's not all over the place. And so then when you're ready to start using your Cricut to cut paper or vinyl or whatever, you're going to take the material that you have, you're going to place it on your mat, and then you use this little scraper tool to make sure that everything is adhered nicely to your mat. You want to make sure that it's all adhered because you don't want it to be coming up off of the mat as you're cutting. So that is what our little scraper tool is for. A couple of the other tools that we have, some we will be using today and some we won't. This is our score tool. As I mentioned before, this could go in this clamp right here on the left hand side. And this is the one that you would use if you wanted to score paper so that you could easily fold it. We have a little spatula tool. We will be using this one later, but this is the one that you use to get materials off of your mat after you've cut them. This little guy that looks like it's just a little sharp pick, it's a weeding tool. So weeding is when you have cut something with your Cricut, so whether it be paper or vinyl, and you have all those little bits and pieces of what you cut that need to come out. We won't be using this today because we're doing larger cuts, but if you're doing more intricate cuts, then you can use the weeding tool. And we have tweezers. We will probably be using the tweezers today, so you'll see those in action. And then a pen as well. So Cricut does have their own line of pens and markers that you can purchase that are made specifically to fit inside of the Cricut machines. And again, you would just put this right in there, and you can actually use the Cricut to write. Last year I used it to write out all of the labels for my Christmas gifts. It's very cool. So I was able to write out the labels and cut them. So now that we've talked about the Cricut machine and all of the tools that come with it and that we're going to be using today, we're going to talk a little bit about the software that we're going to be using with the machine in order to create our project. So this is the Cricut Design Space software. It is a free software that you would download from the Cricut website. You do need to create a free account with Cricut in order to use the software, and you'll need to register your device with the software, but it is all free. There is a paid subscription that you can get. It's called Cricut Access. You can pay a monthly fee or you can pay a yearly fee. With that subscription, you have access to more projects through Cricut. You can also get discounts at the Cricut website, but that's entirely optional. Some people find that it's worth it, some people do not. So today I'm going to go ahead and show you how we created the project that we are going to cut today. So for this card, we're going to go ahead and start by selecting new project. So you can see if I wanted to work with one of the projects that I already have created, all of my projects are showing up right down here where it says my project. But if I click where it says new project, I'm going to be taken to this screen where I can go ahead and design my own project, or I can upload, I can insert images, text, shapes, things like that. The nice thing about this software is that everything is gridded out into these 1-inch squares. So essentially right now I'm looking at a 12-inch by 12-inch screen. So I know that anything I put on the screen in front of me should print out onto a 12-inch by 12-inch piece of paper on a 12-inch by 12-inch mat, which is the standard for Cricut. So to get started, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to shape, and I need to go ahead and insert a square, because Cricut does not have rectangle as an option. It just has square, and then you can go ahead and change the size to make it a rectangle. We do need to unlock our square in order to be able to make it into a rectangle, and then we're just going to resize it. And then I'm going to insert another square for that other little rectangle that we had used. You can also resize your shapes up here where it says size. You can do the width and the height up here, and you can see that it is unlocked. So I can just go ahead and click to change it up here. So now that we have the start of our card, I'm going to go ahead and insert some images. So I'm going to go select images. I'm going to search for a design border, because I did not actually use a ready-made Cricut image for our card. I actually took 2 images and combined them together to make that card shape. So I searched for design border, and this was the border that I ended up using. So I'm going to go ahead and select it, hit insert images, and that image is going to be inserted into our design. So we can go ahead and resize that. And then I'm going to bring that down here. I'm going to rotate it because I made that the bottom of the card. And then I'm just going to resize it until it gets to be the right size that I need it to be. So I can actually look at this rectangle up here. I see that that is 4.778 inches wide. And then I can make this the exact same. And then you'll notice that the color is different. Of course, it's green. One is green and one's gray. That doesn't matter right now. You'll see why in just a little bit. Now we're going to go ahead and insert those flowers. So we're just going to search for 3D flower. And when we find the ones that we like, we're going to go ahead and insert those images. We can resize them if we like. You can see how many different types of flowers there are available to us, or how many different types of images in general there are. We'll go with this one. Then you'll see this one actually comes with a little leaf. We're going to want to get rid of that. So we're going to go ahead and ungroup the flower from the leaf. And then we can click on the leaf to delete that. And we'll resize this, make it a little smaller so that it's about the same size as the other one. You can just move things around. Make sure that everything is within our 12-inch border over here.
And so there we have our card, our little rectangular insert, and 2 flowers. So what we're going to want to do next is we're going to want to take these 2 pieces and we're going to want to weld them together. So we select both of the pieces. You can click on one image here, and then you can hold down your control key on your keyboard and click on the other to select both of them. Or over here on the right hand side, you have your little navigation pane. You can click on the right hand side as well. So what you do is you would click right over here, you would highlight one section, and then you would hold down the control key to highlight the other section, and then you would just click weld, and that's going to weld those pieces together. You can see now it looks like one big shape instead of the 2 individual shapes. And then to cut everything, we are going to attach everything. Otherwise, when we go to make our project, it's going to want to cut every piece on a different piece of paper. But if we attach everything, it'll allow us to cut it all on one piece of paper like we had done, like we plan on doing. So we're going to go ahead and click on each of these objects over here, go down to the bottom, click attach, and now you see everything is grayed out. And when we go to make it, everything is right here, ready to be printed on the same mat. If you get this error saying that at least one of your images is larger than your mat, you can go ahead and click OK, as long as you are aware that you do have the correct mat or that you do have the correct size piece of paper, because here it's showing us that everything is within the size that we need. Everything has been moved so that it is going to go through properly. And then you'll just hit continue, and then your computer, your tablet, your smartphone, whichever device that you are working on will connect to your machine. And then I will go ahead and show you what steps we're going to take from there.
All right, and so now we're back. We have used our Cricut design space to design the card that we're going to be cutting out today and creating. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and we are going to start cutting our project. So on the Cricut, we've already opened it up, we've turned it on, and you'll see that there's a little light flashing right here. This light is flashing, telling us that it is ready to start our project. So we're gonna go ahead and put our mat in, and you'll see there are 2 little guides right in here that tell you where your mat needs to go. And then this little button is the button that you press to load and unload your mat. So we're gonna push this button, and that loaded our mat. And then the next thing that we're gonna see is this little button with a C and it's flashing. That's the button that we need to push to start. So we're gonna go ahead and push that button, and now our machine is gonna start cutting for us. So now that our Cricut is done cutting, we're gonna go ahead and push this little button with the arrow again. This is the button that we're gonna push to unload our mat from the machine. And there you can see that there are some cuts in the mat. We have our flowers down here, our card, and then a little rectangle piece over here. Okay, so now that we have our project cut, we can go ahead and remove it from the mat. So this is where our scraper is gonna, or our spatula is gonna come in handy. And so I always like to start using my nail and just find a corner of the paper that I can get my finger under, and then I just start using the spatula, and I start by peeling off first the excess paper. Just go ahead and remove all of that. And even though this is the excess paper, I always like to use the spatula and remove it carefully, because the excess paper, if there's a big chunk of it, like this piece right here, you can always save that and use it for a smaller project later. So I'm just gonna go and keep using my spatula. And over here you'll see these are the insides of the flowers. Just gonna peel those out. Scrape over here. And then once you have all of this, you can go ahead and any big pieces that you want to save, you can cut around and save, and then anything else can be thrown away or recycled. And then the pieces that are left on here, the pieces that you're going to use, you'll do the same thing. You'll just go ahead and find a nice edge to start picking up with a fingernail. The reason I don't like to start picking it up with a spatula is that sometimes a spatula can break the paper if you start picking the paper up from the mat with the spatula. But if you start by using your nail and lift it up a little bit, then you get the spatula under there and it works just fine. So then you just continue scraping. And then we would just do this until we have all of our pieces removed. But I already have some pieces removed for us to work with today. So now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna make our card. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're gonna take that card piece that we have that has been scored in the middle, and you're just going to fold it right on that score line. If you want to, you can take the edge of something. I'm just gonna take the tweezers that I have, and you can press down on it to give it a nice fold there. You don't have to. And then the next piece that we have is the inside piece. So this inside piece, we're going to glue it to the back of the front cover of the card. So then when we're done, it'll look like that, have just a little bit peeking out there. So you can use regular glue, like a liquid Elmer's glue, or you can use a glue stick. I'm just gonna use a glue stick today because that's what I have. So you can just go ahead and lay some glue out. You can also use double-sided tape if you have that, or like scrapbooking tape, something that's made for paper crafting. If you happen to have that lying around, you can use that as well. So I'm just gonna put my glue on. I'm gonna put this card piece in here, press down, and then I'm actually just gonna fold my card in half, press down on that, and then there is the start of our card. So then our next step is gonna be to make our flowers. So for our flowers, we have these lovely little pieces that have been cut in these spirals, and we're actually gonna start rolling our flowers from the outside. So from the widest part of the spiral. And you can do this a few different ways. You may find a way that works for you. Some people are fine just using their fingers and rolling this up. Some people find that using tweezers helps. So you can just trap the edge of the flower in the tweezers and then just start rolling that way. I do like this way. Just start rolling it up. And then eventually you'll just take the tweezers out and then just continue rolling it with your fingers. And some people find that using a bobby pin holds the interior of the flower in place. So essentially what we're doing, if you can see, is we're just rolling this piece of paper up to form our little flower. And we're gonna do that with all 3 of these little flowers that we have. And there are a couple different flower designs, so what I'm showing you might not be exactly what you get, but they're all fabulous little designs. So you're just gonna keep rolling it until you get close to the end. And at the very end, you'll see there's actually a little circle. That is gonna be the bottom of your flower. That's what's gonna hold everything together. So you're just gonna put a little glue on that very bottom part right there. And then you're just gonna press that to the bottom of your flower. You just hold that for a couple seconds until it kind of gets tacky, and then you can actually put some more glue on the whole thing and then place it on your card wherever you would like it to go, and then just kind of push and hold until it sticks a little bit. And then we have one of our flowers glued onto our card, and then we're just going to repeat the process with the other 2 flowers that we have. So go ahead and do that here. And there's our finished card. So we have our 3 flowers there, and then you can go ahead and personalize it any way you like. You can write a note on the outside, on the inside, you can draw on it, do whatever you like. Because it is 3-dimensional with those flowers, unfortunately we can't put it in an envelope, but there you have it. So this is our Mother's Day card that we made with the Cricut. I hope you enjoyed this take and make with us today, and we hope to see you again soon.